Good morning. We're calling this class now Beyond Breakfast, not just Rav Dessler. Today, the breakfast in the class is dedicated in loving memory of Lili Nishmat Shimon Chai ben Moshe and Mariah Alav Shalom. His sweet neshama should have an aliyah, and may his family find nehama with love from the Lo and Katz families. Okay, so the Hakaras hatov Ali Shor. Okay, so Ali Shor is a amazing book that was written by Rav Wolbe on the development of character development. Okay, you see that there was a 250-year tradition about how we think about the development of character. There's Chassidut, which is one approach. We'll think about all positive things and just do more and more mitzvot, and that will hopefully realign our character. Whereas you have the Musar approach, which is more of let's think about the actual character trait and ask ourselves, what do we need to do to enhance, build, develop that trait? Okay, and it's got to be methodical. It's not something that happens randomly. So what Rav Wolbe would do is he would give his sichot Musar in his yeshiva. He would give over this idea. He'd bring sources from the Gemara and Rashi and use it as a springboard to have the conversation about, well, what does it mean to have Hakaras hatov? How do I go ahead and build this amazing character trait of gratitude? So this is his introductory, chapter or piece on it. The Gemara is a famous Gemara Gemara in Beitza on Daf 16a. So this is what he says. He's quoting the Gemara over here. Okay, we're just going to go through the Gemara quickly. We'll do the Rashi over here, and we'll try to finish some of this today, and hopefully we'll finish the whole page tomorrow. Okay, so he quotes as follows. Rabbi Chama, the son of Rabbi Chanina, said, one who gives his friend a gift need not inform him, as the verse says, and Moshe did not know that the skin of his face glowed. Rashi, from the fact that Moshe did not know, we see that Hashem did not inform him of the gift. So that means that if you're going to go ahead and buy a present for your friend, you don't have to tell them that I'm giving you the gift. You don't have to put a card on it. You don't have to sign your name on it. You just give them the gift. It's totally fine. There's no reason to go ahead and write your name on it. We're not saying you shouldn't do it. You're just saying you have no chiyuv. You have there's no direct initiative or law that would state that you need to go ahead and let the receiver know that you're giving the gift. We see this from Moshe, who had the Karen or the famous rays of light. He had no idea that God gave him that gift. He never told him. Surprise, you're glowing. Okay, so the Gemara continues. The Gemara attacks Rabbi Chama's principle that one need not inform someone of the gift. And Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, speak also to the Jews saying, just guard my Shabbat, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, to know that it is I, Hashem, that sanctifies you. Here, Hashem told Moshe, I have a good gift in my storehouse of treasures, and it's called Shabbat. And I would like to give it to the Jews. Go tell them. From here, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel derived halacha that someone who gives bread to a child must inform the child's mother. The question is why? So how do we learn from, okay, just go back again, ready? Hashem says to Moshe, I want to give the Jewish people a gift. Let them know. It's called Shabbat. Okay, so now Shimon ben Gamliel says, from here we learn that someone who gives bread to a child has to tell the child's mother that he's getting bread. Why? What do you infer from Hashem telling Moshe that he wants to give Shabbat to the Jewish people that teaches us that you've got to tell a child's mother, I gave him a slice of bread. It's not even a candy. Behold, there's a contradiction between Rabbi Chama's position and the one need not inform someone of a gift. Because we said earlier, no need to inform of the gift, and now we're saying you do need to inform of the gift. And the question is why? Is a child. Okay, that's one. Okay, it's true. But still, you could assume that it would be universal. They did not make a stipulation that says adults, yes, and you could say that. That's one approach. So the Gemara continues and says that Rishon's position that one must inform someone of a gift. The Gemara resolves the apparent contradiction. This is not a problem. The case of Moshe's skin glowing is one in which the gift would eventually become known to the recipient, since people would tell Moshe that he was glowing, and therefore there was no need to inform him. And the other case of Hashem giving the Jews the Shabbat is one in which the gift might never become known to the recipient. Right? How many Jews don't understand what Shabbat really is until they have that Shabbat experience, right? And therefore we have, since the Jews would not know, they'd be given the Shabbat, if Hashem ever informed them, therefore Hashem had to inform the Jews. The Gemara objects. Okay, Shabbat is also a gift that would eventually become known when Hashem commanded the Jewish people to observe it, like during the Ten Commandments, right? Zachor et Yom Shabbat. Okay, so according to that rule articulated above, the gifts that will become known need not to be announced. So there was no need for Hashem to tell Moshe to inform the Jews about the Shabbat. The Gemara resolves the problem. Although the Jews would have eventually learned that there is a Shabbat, they may not have ever realized the reward for keeping Shabbat. So they needed to be informed of the gift. That's how the Gemara ends the what's it called? So different approach. One is because you're going to give the gift to the child. The child is not an adult. The mother should be told that the child received the gift. Okay, that is Shabbat. Okay, but when it comes to the Karen or of Moshe, it would become apparent to him at some point anyway. So there's no need to inform him. It's going to be like a duh situation, like you're glowing. It obviously came from Hashem.
We don't have to say thank you for the Shabbat, like you were talking about gratitude yesterday.
What's that?
We're never required to say thank you for the Shabbat. We were talking about gratitude yesterday.
Yeah, no, we don't say, well, it's funny, like there are certain things that, there are certain ways we do express gratitude throughout Shabbat. You know, Kiddush is one way of thanking Hashem for Shabbat. It's one way of, like, the way I like to think about making Kiddush. Kiddush is like our way of like literally igniting Shabbat. And we start by a declaration, Yom HaShishi, we're being grateful at that point. We're lifting up the wine, we're drinking the wine as an expression of gratitude for the Shabbat. Yeah. That's also part of it. That's more of like being ready to accept the Shabbat. Okay, listen to Rashi. That's also a form. That is also. It's all of it is. All tefillah is a form of hoda'ah. It's a form of gratitude, 100%. Rashi says that someone who gives bread to a child must inform the child's mother. He says by making a sign and mark on the child, so that if the child consumes the gift before he arrives at his mother, she will see the sign and ask him, "Who did that to you?" The child will say, "So and so." And he also gave you bread. And from this interaction, the mother and the father of the child will know that the one who gave the bread loves them, and the closeness and friendship will increase among the Jews. Fascinating, right? Okay, you put this little like ash on his head. Who gave you that mark on your head? Oh, this guy, he was really sweet. He gave me bread. Oh, that's so nice. What's his name? So and so. The same Talmudic passage appears also in Masechet Shabbat, and there Tosafot comment that this principle that one must inform someone who receives a gift only applies when it is a gift given out of love. For in such a case, the receiver is not embarrassed. However, when someone gives a charity which could embarrass the receiver, a gift in secret pacifies anger. That's a quote from Mishlei. That's Shlomo Melech. So you have over here.
Given in secret pacifies anger.
Yeah.
The recipients.
Why are you giving me this? Who are you to give me? Like I need your what's it called? I don't need your charity. So you do it in an underhanded kind of way. They don't see it. There's no room for any kind of explosion to happen. Okay. So regarding charity, the preferred path is that the giver does not know to whom he is giving, and the receiver does not know from whom he is receiving. That's the Rambam. It's a Yeridea. It's all over the place. However, when it comes to a gift, the Torah insists that the receiver dafka should know from whom he is receiving. For this is the whole point of a gift, to increase closeness and friendship. Okay, his Rabbi Yerucham Levavitz said in that Chochmah Musar, he says as follows. He said, "It is not like we normally assume that the trait of appreciation constitutes exceptional refinement. Rather, when the giver has the legal claims upon the receiver, if the receiver fails to contemplate and appreciate a gift, and according to the law, the receiver must contemplate and recognize the greatness and exaltedness of the giver to recognize the giver and the good that he did." So this is true of us, meaning like we're the idea of giving a gift is there to do two things. One is obviously to build that closeness between two people and let them know, like, hey, by the way, I got you this, I got you something, right? And the other is really to kind of that acknowledgement, the awareness of, is to build that closeness, to build those bonds. This is what we do, by the way, on Purim, right? We do that on Purim. That idea of shalach manot, same concept. There's no secret. You don't tell people, I'm not telling you who I am. You have your name on it, no problem there, right? But this is the idea. We want to build this closeness. Now think about it. If that is the halacha between man and man, right? Are we aware of the gifts that we're receiving from Hashem? Okay, and what's the point of those gifts? To draw us closer. Appreciation is a trait that applies in relationships between man and his fellow man, and between man and God, and even between God and man. An example is this. Behold, we find the Torah discusses about how God recognizes the good done for him by man. Like in the Parsha, the Parsha of the gifts of the tribal leader, Naso. There, the Ramban writes, this is the quote of the Ramban, okay, the true understanding of this verse is that the Holy One bestows honor upon those who fear him, just as he said, for them that honor Me, I will honor. Whoever honors Hashem, Hashem will honor them. Now, all the princes brought this offering on the same day because they all agreed to do it simultaneously. But since it was impossible that one of them should not precede the other, he honored those who came first in the position of the flags to bring their offerings in the early days. He wanted, however, to mention them all by name and the detail of their offering and the side of the day. This is like we read this, all the Nisi'im.
12 different days, it's 12 on one day?
It's on 12 different days, one by one. Yeah, one by one. And the verse says, this was the offering of Nachshon ben Aminadab. And then saying, and he did so on each one of the princes on the offering of the day, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that would have been a diminution of the honor, would have lessened the honor. Afterwards, after having listened to them all separately, he included them again in the general verse to tell us that they would all be equal before him. So this is how much Hashem recognized the good they did for him. And so too in Pinchas, Parshat Pinchas, who turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, is that he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consume not the children of Israel, but my jealousy. Therefore say, behold, I give to them my covenant of peace. So she will have it, and if she's and his seed after him, the covenant of everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous before God and made an atonement before the children of Israel. So here you have two examples of where the Jewish people are put into a position where they're doing something for Hashem, and Hashem goes out of his way to recognize the good in them by adding their names and giving special brachot in the Torah itself. So what he's getting at is that if you think that Hakarat hatov is like a silly thing for women, in Beit Yaakov, in seminary, to like, oh Hashem, I love you, Hashem, you're making a mistake. Actually floated this idea yesterday with Rabbi Fari, for those of you that are in the breakfast in the class. This is the Beyond Breakfast class. I said to him, what I want to do is, and you inspired me, Nathan, was that every Rosh Chodesh, I want to have a Simchat Rosh Chodesh here in the shul, and bring like the singers and the musicians, and have like a special Rosh Chodesh breakfast in the class series. I would love to do an early like breakfast barbecue, like breakfast beef and like eggs for like post shachri, but we'll see. We're working out the details. I don't know when we'll start, but there's. We do have a netz minyan. So, the idea really is that what is the idea of the Hallel? What is the Rosh Chodesh? Is that we're really thanking Hashem. We're trying to figure out a way of thanking Hashem for all the good that He does. And I know it's so easy, like I said yesterday, to kind of focus on the negativity. Right? The word negativity comes from the Hebrew word nega, which means affliction. Right? And it's an affliction to be in a negative state. Whereas it's interesting, the word nega in Hebrew, if you rearrange the letters, you have the word oneg, right? And what happens? The nega nun gimel ayin. The difference is when you move the ayin to the front, right? When you start looking and stop feeling, you start opening your eyes. You actually see the good that God has done for you. You turn the whole world of affliction into a world of pleasure. Everything is good ultimately, but it's a mindset. It's a shift that has to happen in our minds. So he says, we do not think that appreciation is just a midah that appears between man and his fellow man. Really, it's a midah that appears between a man and himself. So we find the plague of blood, where when God says to Moshe, tell Aaron, take your stick and extend your hand on the waters out of Egypt, and there will be blood throughout the land of Egypt. And our sages said in the Midrash, why wasn't the water struck by Moshe? The Holy One said to him, the water which guarded you when you were thrown into the Nile, it is inappropriate to be afflicted through your hand. I swear by your life that it will only be afflicted through Aharon. So too the plague of frogs, right? The first few plagues were all done by Aharon because Moshe was saved by the water, and by the earth he hid the Egyptian in the sand itself. The Holy One said to Moshe, the dirt that guarded you when you killed that Egyptian, it's inappropriate to be afflicted through your hand. Therefore, these three plagues were initiated by Aharon, the water and the dirt, not to feel who afflicts them, and it makes no difference to them whether Moshe is the one who strikes them or Aaron, or who does it. But Moshe was halachically required to show them appreciation. So what we're saying over here is that you think that it's only about man and God. He says even between man and himself. What does that mean? My objects, I have show a hakarat hatov for. Moshe was not allowed to hit the water or the earth because he has a hakarat hatov for what they did for him. So he says as follows. We'll end this piece over here. I'm glad we were able to finish today. Moshe was halachically required to show them appreciation. This is why in the Alei Shor, hakarat hatov was placed amongst the midot between man and himself. You think hakarat hatov is between Adam lechavero? He says no. He says that Rav Wolbe says that hakarat hatov is a mitzvah of ben Adam la'atzmo. You can't be a healthy person If you're walking around with all this negativity, right, you're just filled with affliction. So he says that even though it is clear that the midah has many consequences in relation between man and his fellow man, between man and God, ikar, it starts with you. You want to be healthy? There's a story of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter where he was throwing out shoes. So before he would throw out his shoes, he would take the shoes and wrap them in a bag. And his students were like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm throwing out my shoes. But I want to show an appreciation for the fact that they carried me for the last few years. Like, to that level, do we really stop and appreciate the things that we really have? No. That awareness, just like we said, the Gemara on Shabbat says, it'll come and go. You'll never even realize you have the gift. It has to be told to you. Who's going to tell you about all the good that you have? It's only going to be you could only tell yourself. So the mitzvah of Hakaras hatov begins with you doing the avodah and recognizing the good that you have within your world, within your environment. And then showing appreciation for those things. Can you imagine? There's a story of another story of Yisrael Salanter where he was folding his talit, and a boy came up to him and said, "Can I ask you a question?" He put the talit down, right? And he put the talit down on the bench, walked away, came back, and the boy saw that the talit fell. He picked it up. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter picks it up from him and says, "Get me a paper. I want to clean the bench over here. I want to clean this area that I put the talit on." He says, "Why?" He says, "I have Hakaras hatov for the fact that it held my talit when I put it down for a second." Like, that's the level. We take everything for granted. Do you appreciate the fact that you're sitting on these nice cushioned, benches? Are you appreciate the fact that we have the lights on? Do we appreciate the fact that you have clothing to warm yourselves up? We could think about all the things that are missing, but that's just living a life of negativity. That's living a life of affliction. I choose to live a life of oneg, of pleasure. Bezrat Hashem will continue building this midah over the next days and weeks together. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening.